Hi, Philippe. Great to
Hi,
see you
Richard.
again. We're here tonight to listen to Twisting Ways, and I thought it would be great for the audience, those that are tuned in, to know what to listen for. What are they listening for?
I mean, they're listening to, I think, a special piece of music. I mean, it's a collaboration between me and David Braid. I think that's something that is already a bit unusual. I mean, usually composers they write alone, and so this is a collaboration. So two composers got together, invited by you, to create something new. So I think that's already something to listen for. So there's a conversation aspect to that piece. So you have two composers going back and forth with ideas.
It certainly is a unique thing for us, certainly, and I don't know anything else quite like it. Yeah, I guess Duke Ellington and Billy Strayhorn had a bit of a relationship where they
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
wrote like that. But this is, tell us how you did this. So the beginning, did you write the very first part of the music, or did David?
Well, I think we came up with a concept. I mean, the concept first with David, his first idea was to do like something vocal, so kind of to bring the art song of maybe the more associated with classical music to bring that to the jazz orchestra. So that was his idea, and then I came up with the concept of okay, let's each write something like let's each write one song, and then without listening to the other person's song. So it would because I like to keep things a bit random and to see what can happen just with like yeah randomness. And then we each wrote our piece, and then we listened to it, and then we started to react to it. So the concept was we each write one thing on our side, and then we react to the other's person piece. So that was the first idea.
Right. Um, so did you write who wrote the first movement?
The first movement, the hand, is by David.
Okay,
So his idea was to have a kind of five. It's a song that happens five times with five different verses. He had the text, but his collaborator lead sang. So I knew that he wanted to do that one element five times. So for sure, when I got his piece, I listened to it. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna hear this five times in different ways. But so I had to already. I was thinking of doing something like that would be a bit different. So I took his piece, but I took elements from it and tried to create it in a whole other like spectrum in a whole other region of music. His music was so like really beautifully harmonic and melodic, so I went for more rhythmical and simplicity and repetition and yeah, more sounds, something a bit different. So I think as listeners, you can listen to the first movement, which is the hand, and then the second movement is dialogue, and that's the first time I was trying to interact with his piece. So you can hear the same melody, but it's a whole other new universe.
okay. So it starts off with the hand,
Yeah,
and then
dialogue. So that's kind of me dialoguing with his piece.
okay,
Then it's opening glimmers. It's a solo piano section by David where he's going to introduce my piece, but that is Hope Shadow. So he's into playing with my piece, and then Hope Shadow starts.
okay.
And then in the middle of Hope Shadow, it comes back to my reaction to his piece because my first reaction to his piece was a very very long section of music that went in a different direction. And at the end, David took like part of it and put it into. He kind of reordered the section at the end, so he made a long form and changed some things. So we added that section in Hope Shadow. So it's all intertwined in a way.
Okay. Now, and then did David write after that? Did David write a reaction to yours, or how did that work?
Well, that was the first idea in a
Yeah.
way. But well, at some point we had a length that had a maximum length, and my first reaction to his piece was actually quite long. I was really
Ah,
inspired by his piece, so it got very long. And I think what we went for more was that he reacted by his solo piano playing for sure, and then the way he reordered things and he added interludes to make everything work in a way. So that was more his reaction in a way. So
ah,
the concept was really okay, tune A, tune B, a reaction A to reaction B, but it ended up being a bit different, which is fine. I mean, that's I like to start with a concept and then whatever happens happens.
I understand that he wrote the ending and then you scored it. Is that the last part of that?
Oh, I gotta remember. In a way, I did send him a few interludes that he did also use and change which was really like back and forth, especially at the end
Okay.
when we had like it was a deadline that has to be met, so we
Right.
really like exchanged a lot
Well,
at the end.
deadlines make sure that
Sure.
things get done, right? It's just like
Yeah.
this release, you know,
Oh, for sure.
you know.
And in
So
a way, also, the good thing is that I was inspired a lot by his music, but also when I sent him my reaction, then he saw the way I was orchestrating things, and that informed his way of doing the interludes. But also, he reviewed some of his orchestrations based on what I was writing. So you'll see that I think that's why it feels like a unified piece. There's different moves, different styles, but still there's like a lot of unity in all of that.
right, right. Yeah, because there was a lot of interaction back and forth.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
let's listen to the piece, and then we'll talk. I have a few questions, and as the concert goes on, there'll be some questions that come up in the sidebar as well. So
Sure.
let's listen to the piece, and we'll reconvene after.
I, the nightingale, do sing well as darkness transforms my light, whistling here through all the shades and shine. Am I fine? Guided by the thorns and rose, looking for places where I might repose, searching throughout the night unknown, finding where I've flown. In dreams misty, cold, and weathered, I drift through the fear-filled night, wondering now if I should trust my lead to succeed. Looking for a way to go. Here is a challenge for our world to show. Should I trust providential signs to make me more than blind? Through the mirrors I did look far, is where I found gold, tarnished by all virtues I abused. I did choose blindly, let the hand give way, just as the shepherd holds his fold and sway. Steer me and take me, guide my sound, find the space profound. I, the nightingale, do sing well, as darkness transforms our light, whistling here through all the shades and shine. I am guided by the thorns and rose, finding the places that I sought and chose, drifting all through the glorious night, knowing that's my flight. and the hills that shape the lands of noble pain. For a nightingale who flits through the trees does find his comfort there amid the loss. My palm lays bare and openly stretches up above, enveloping all that he has called his home. It shines softly, and it shines oddly. While he's turning Look upon the fields and the hills that shape the land of noble plain. For a nightingale who flits through the trees does find his comfort there amid the loss. My palm lays bare and openly stretches up above, enveloping all that he has called his home. It shines softly, and it shines oddly. While he's turning in the twilight, casting shadows, now in plain sight, hear the sound that whispers and dreams and searches through his broken shame. As my opening glimmers grow, climb and shine above and strike out everywhere. See these moments to reveal a hope shadow that he's hope's shadow.
All right, Philippe, that was Twisting Ways, the commission that when we began all of this, it wasn't obvious what we were doing, I think, for any of us.
Oh,
So
for sure.
how
Yeah.
did this become what it became? From your point of view, like how did this become this grand project?
Oh, I mean, yeah, I don't know what to say exactly, but probably like a lot of back and forth, and but also aiming to do something special, and maybe also just going with the flow. I mean, we tried some things didn't work, and we moved on, and always kind of searching for something in a way.
I think that's what we all do. And I should mention that David has had so many different kinds of projects, and you have too. So everybody's exploring, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And so this started off as, okay, we've got these two guys now. And my project was where we're going to put them together. And my first thought was that we would just alternate kind of movements. But then, the ideas started to flow, right? And how this could
Yeah.
be.
Well, I mean, the most obvious way to do it would have been to each write on our side and just like bring it together at the end, and that could have worked. Like that's kind of the tried and tested way to collaborate. It could have worked for sure, but I wanted to go a bit further and try to like invite some magic in there. So that's why I wanted to go in the music and collaborate with David so much. And we didn't know each other before that, so that was a good call from you to like knowing two different persons that don't know each other and calling, oh, you guys should collaborate. So that actually the credit goes to you.
Well, how do you think this has changed you? I know we should also mention David is in Europe, right? Right now, he can't be
Oh,
with
for sure.
us.
Yeah,
I'd love to.
we're not hiding him somewhere. So he's working on a movie score and like in Europe right now, and I mean he can't be there at the moment. It would be in the middle of the night, so that's why it's only me.
But tell me, do you think this has changed you? This project, what has it done in terms of your growth?
Hmm. Well, I mean, for sure, collaborating with somebody, it's like pitching ideas and looking for, okay, does he like that? Do I like that? What do it's getting you out of your own little bubble, which in a way is very liberating because I mean, you're a writer, you know what it is. You write things and then you're like doubting, okay, yeah. I mean, I know that's me. I know I've done that before. That's boring, and sometimes you're over criticizing something or something like that. So exchanging with somebody was fun for this. You can some kind of a validation. Oh yeah, that's actually really good. But also you explore something that is out of your comfort zone. I mean, personally, for my music, for the few years before this project, I was on purpose going away from simple melodies, and I was trying to explore the like to carry the listener through a story without clear melody. That was my kind of angle for a lot of music that I wrote. So doing a vocal song was like the total opposite of what I was doing. So that was great. And I mean, thinking about a song for sure, when I wrote Hope Shadow, it was like, okay, I don't know the singer yet who's going to be singing that piece. Uh, I haven't heard David's piece, so I don't know in what universe he's playing with. So I just went, okay, I'm just going to write something simple and not just write a jazz tune too much. So I went for more triads. And I tried to do something not like a typical jazz song. That was my that only starting point. So something simple, nice melody that can be like sang by somebody, and something that would actually give some room also for David to take this and bring it whatever he wanted to go with.
Right. By the way, I should mention that people are going to wonder about the cats that you have stored up on top of the
Oh yeah, yeah. They're having a nice
they're
nap
hiding from
as
the dog.
usual.
They're hiding from the dog.
Yeah,
So
for
we
sure.
need to talk about Lee Tsang in his.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Lee and David have a great collaboration going from the last few years. I mean, David is, I think, artistic director of an orchestra that Lee is the conductor and artistic director also. So they've been working together for a few years. So he wrote the lyrics to The Hand, the David's piece. And when I wrote Hope Shadow, I didn't have lyrics in mind. I wrote notes and melody. So at some point we realized, okay, the best way to go would be to ask the same person, so he could actually put some unity into the whole piece. And he did something very interesting because the hand is. I don't want to go too deep into the text because it's not my text, and I don't have the same understanding. But the general thought is that it's a we're talking about a nightingale and a mystic force that is the hand, and there's a certain communication, and but the hand is on the angle that we're talking about is the nightingale is talking to us. But for Hope Shadow, he reversed that, so it was kind of a smart thing to do. We have the hand talking instead of the nightingale, so it's a nice concept. It also brings unity to the whole thing.
And you were saying that Lee really analyzed and thought a lot about what he was putting together. The,
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, Lee's a brilliant lyricist, but he's also a classical baritone singer. So he's a very, like a musician that has a lot of knowledge. So the way he worked is that he took my piece and he analyzed it. And for some important musical sections, he put some anchor words that he used to build his own text. And then he shared with me his process through a very long email, very detailed, like what he was thinking about doing this text. So I was inspired by his process for me to orchestrate my own piece after. So I took his anchor words and put them into with the orchestra in a certain way to outline the qualities of the words. So that was another layer of collaboration and being inspired by the work of somebody else. Because probably without these words, I would not have orchestrated the same way. So it's interesting. There's a lot of back and forth, and I think the sum of everything is more than the sum of the individuals because you've got this collaboration going on.
Hmm. You've given me a thought about getting in touch with Lee and talking to him, just
Oh, sure.
writing
And
about.
he will give you a very detailed answer. I can
Wow,
tell you, it was
great.
not just random poetry. It's very it's great work.
So, my sense, with this project is that it's very artistically driven. It's not to fill time in. It's not to make some dollars because the
Oh,
amount.
for sure. That's not why we're in music, because everybody knows that's not why. If you're in music for this, you should change job. It's not,
Right? Because
not
the
the right
amount of time
angle.
you put in, and then David and I have, like we've put in, is just like uh, it's not recoverable, but it's not meant to be. So I think you froze up there just a little bit. But anyway, let's talk about
Yeah, sorry, Fro.
that's that's all right. Let's talk about the other part that made this really special, and that was Sarah Sleen.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Sarah is a beautiful vocalist. Like she's awesome. But what's really special about her is that I mean, she can sing in very different styles of music and still be like her own and her own like authentic self in these different types of music. So, I mean, she's been more in the popular music world for like decades, and but still she can collaborate with like classical ensembles. She can write and orchestrate for like she'll be like a renaissance woman if you want to say it. And now I think that was her first venture into jazz, quote unquote, because I mean ultimately it doesn't really sound like jazz, but so she's incredible, and her performance was very she added a layer of meaning to the words with her performance, which I was like during the recording session it was like wow, it's like a not a dream come true, but it's like it's really added something to the music.
Yeah. So this has just been a special project in a lot of ways. And um, is there anything else that you would want to bring up about the piece itself that is maybe people might not notice in the first listen or might not know about the piece, but something that just made it some special things about it.
Hmm. I mean, I think just like listen and enjoy the ride, because I think we did this piece. It's a very contrasting piece. There's a lot of different sections, and I think it's a nice 27-minute moment that you can live, and I think you're gonna experience something. You're gonna feel something out of that piece. So that would be my angle to it. Just enjoy it. And
Right. And listen to the colors, and like what strikes me about it is that is all the sounds and the different layers that you've put in, to the
for
music.
sure, and especially for like jazz orchestra fans that are used to big band music, notice that this is the same instrumentation. We're talking about a big band that has four trumpets, four trombones, five saxophones, and a rhythm section plus vibraphone, but it doesn't feel like a big band record in a way. It feels like an orchestra record. And
Right.
if you compare like a jazz orchestra to a symphonic orchestra, I mean, symphonic orchestra has all these different instruments and colors. It's a very like for an orchestrator, there's a lot of more variety of timbres possible. But yet, even with not that many choices of timbres, I think we got something that is very orchestral.
Right.
So yeah, I think that's something special about this record.
I should mention that part of the thing going in was that I said that I wanted to keep it to five saxes. Like many times when people write and they want it to be a little more orchestral, they'll put flute and clarinet and, even double reeds in. But for me, I just wanted it to be very accessible and mobile and being able to be played by different groups. So the only thing that's different is just having the vocalist and the vibraphones in, which adds that color. But otherwise, like you say, it's standard instrumentation for a big band.
It's a big revelation to me too, honestly, because I was my first tendency. If you look at my previous record, Lungta,
Yeah,
it's an orchestral record and it's a wind ensemble thing. So I really went for other colors. I went right at it, and I even made that music work for jazz orchestra, but I still used woodwinds double. So for me, making like kind of this orchestral vision possible without all these colors of different woodwinds. It's a revelation. I'm really happy. So I know my I can in that way with the standard instrumentation. So it's great.
Right, right. So there are two more in this project. There are two other um, pieces that we added, and we added them well after we recorded the commission. And so David Braid's Lydian Sky, and it has Mike Murley playing on it from Toronto, and your La Fleur. Now,
Yeah.
tell me about La Fleur because, like, is it a particular melody? Because you have some different variations in other
Yeah,
recordings.
I mean, yeah, this is actually from something that from another record that will be coming next fall, that I wrote way, like a few years ago. It's I took a tune of mine that is La Fleur et la Roche. That's on my first record. It's just a melody with a harmony and it's a standard tune. But for that project that I have with Mark Copeland, a piano player from New York, and a string quartet, I decided to take one of my piece and make variations, like 4 or 5 variations on it, so different viewpoints on the same piece. And I did the same with one of his pieces. So that's the concept of the record. So this is the third variation. And when you asked me to add another piece, I thought, okay, I have this piece that would work for orchestra. I would be curious to try to change it and make it work for orchestra. So I took that piece and I just rearranged it for your orchestra.
Did it have vocals in your first
No,
first
my
version?
first version is bass clarinet, me on bass clarinet, piano, and string quartet. So it's a whole other ball game. And I mean, I knew Carly was gonna sing on Indian Sky, so I'm like, okay, no, I should use vocals on the piece. And I asked her to improvise some things, so I added her improvisations to my piece too. So some of her vocal lines are actually not from me; she improvised them. So it's a whole other version of that piece. I mean, I'm currently mixing the record that will be coming in the fall, and I'm curious to see how they're gonna compare to each other. They're different. It's the same music, but it's
Right,
different. It's really
right.
different.
We should mention Carly Epp sings on Lydian Sky and Le Fleur,
Yeah.
and is a wonderful vocalist. And the only reason she isn't on the commission is because David wrote the piece, began writing the piece before really communicating with Carly on what her vocal range was going to be, and so when it was
Yeah,
done,
that's the thing with
it was in the wrong range for her. So
yeah, and you can't. That's the thing I have. It's a whole other. You can't change your if it's physical. So, yeah, that's why it happens. But in a way, it's good. It makes a great record. We have two different vocalists.
it
They're
does.
both great for different timbres. So I'm really happy actually the way it turned out.
Yeah. Okay, I think we're going to wrap it up. We've taken questions in the chat. More questions may come in. We'll try to deal with that. And if anybody's interested in your material or David Braid's, we're going to have links on our website to your websites as well. And I know that you're going to be producing a lot more music, and I know we're going to work together again.
For sure.
So thanks. We'll be in
Thank you,
touch.
Richard. Thanks everybody, all the musicians for the orchestra. It's been a great ride.
It was a great ride. We're ready for another ride, right?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll see you.
Bye.